Hey, everybody. Want to welcome to Canton Coders. As you can tell, we are still operating on a very shoestring budget for production value, but I appreciate you signing in tonight to watch us with Mike and Rich. Just a reminder, Canton Coders is about you, not really your employer. We love employers because they pay us, but we love developers because that's what we're for. Lately, we're trying to get feedback as we grow a community in a pandemic of what's working and not working. So if you jump on our Slack, if you jump on our Twitter feed, or jump on our cantoncoders.org website, there's some Survey Monkeys feedback. We'd love to hear feedback. If you can't figure out how to give us feedback on that, just shoot us an email to info@cantoncoders.com. And two more things before we jump into it. Make sure you follow us on Twitch. Apparently, if we get 50 followers, we get premium bandwidth, which is a great thing, except we really don't want to be an online meetup forever. So let's do that for the immediate future, but once it's safe to come back to the library, we'll go back to the library. And after this, we're going to try something called a lean coffee, which is I'm going to drop a Zoom link in our Slack, and you can join us, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about with code. Because in a real meetup, we'd probably go do that at a pub or a restaurant anyways. But let's try to do that tonight. I am grateful to have Mike and Rich, who are both technical coaches with a lot more experience than I've ever had. And they want to talk about, what are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing a Java versus Kotlin smackdown with the Fizz Buzz kata. It's
Awesome.
not much of a smackdown, but it's a smackdown because I don't know Kotlin. Smitty knows both Java and Kotlin. Kotlin is one of those things I just never got into, and we were talking the other week, and Smitty's like, I'll show you. And then Joel was like, do it online. So here we are.
Yep.
And Joel, hopefully you haven't stepped away. We need to switch the share to Mike so that we can get to the IDE.
Oh, happy to do that. Like I said, we have a $9 budget for all of Canton Coders.
Well, why not?
Here, let me get my wallet out. I want to round that out to an even 10.
It's been the best $9 I've ever spent.
And I will auto accept any requests. So, how do we want to start? Do you just want to kind of give an overview of what this is? And
yeah, let's so anybody who's not familiar with Fizz Buzz, right? We should explain the rules of Fizz Buzz. So Fizz Buzz is a counting game. It's good for teaching division to little children or having fun with your friends and a couple of beers. The gist of it is that you count from 1, and when you get to numbers divisible by 3, you say fizz instead of the number. When you get to numbers divisible by 5, you say buzz instead of 5. And when you get to numbers that are divisible by both 3 and 5, you say fizz buzz. So 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, fizz.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, except 6 and 9. Like
6 and 9.
I can't play this game sober. So it's one of those things. So what Smitty and I had been talking about was Kotlin versus Java. Not in any sort of pejorative way, like we're not bashing on either one of them. I'm an old school Java dude, and I've just never had the opportunity to play with Kotlin. I saw a test suite written in Kotlin once, and I went, oh, that looks cute. But I didn't really investigate, and I don't know how it works. So Smitty's going to show me how it works, and we're going to do it by comparison. So I'll write a test, and maybe even the code that makes that test pass, and then Smitty will do it in Kotlin to show me what's different about Kotlin. How does Kotlin work?
Okay. So you're looking at doing like one-for-one implementation, so I'm going to follow the Java implementation in Kotlin?
Yep.
Okay. And then maybe at the end I can kind of refactor to go toward something that looks kind of more Kotlin-ish, functionally cute or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, and we can kind of wing it. I mean, no strict rules, right? We're just having some fun, experimenting, right? So I'm going to take control of the screen. Yesterday, we put in a plumbing test just to make sure that our test suite works, and I should be able to click on the old green button and run them tests. And so Smitty also uses Gradle, which is something that I'm familiar with, but don't tend to use. I try to stay on the rails so that I can do everything with my buddy Maven.
Yep. So I can give a quick overview of the project.
Sure.
In Gradle. So Rich and I maybe first started off thinking, well, he would have a project in Java on his machine. I have a project in Kotlin on mine, sorry. And then we would switch back and forth between who is the person who's sharing. I said, well, the one cool thing about Gradle and even Kotlin is Kotlin is also a JVM language. Kotlin will compile just like Java, and it'll be class files just like Java. You can have the just heard some noise outside. Cool thing about Gradle is I'm using some plugins for Kotlin, right? Like the Kotlin Standard Live, JDK 8. I'm applying the Kotlin plugin and the Kotlin JVM. So all that stuff's nice and everything, but what really does it give you? Well, the thing is I could have two different types of source sets. Source main Java. There is no source Kotlin.
Yeah.
So I probably have a new directory. Kotlin, right? And I probably, okay, so you have an app. Yeah, this was generated by the Gradle init plugin. So the Gradle init plugin will just generate a project for you in Java, right? With all the the correct, the conventional directories like source main Java, source main resources, source test Java. But the other cool thing is though, once you have these plugins configured, I can run Java and Kotlin within the same project. And the project works just as it would normally if it's just a straight Java or straight Kotlin one. The reason you would want to actually do this maybe is if, let's say you have a legacy Java project, like there was a project that came in where I'm working that was originally in Java. Our group is fully invested in Kotlin. Well, we just can't lift everything in Java to Kotlin, in one iteration or one week or one story. So over time, you can actually take Java code and you can actually convert it directly to Kotlin, even within this IDE here, the IntelliJ IDE. The people who make this, JetBrains, actually are the people who developed and support Kotlin. They actually write their IDEs in Kotlin. So you can actually say, for this class here, you can actually go right click and convert to Kotlin, I believe, somewhere. There you go. Convert Java file to Kotlin in one swoop. Without, even if you don't know any Kotlin. So anyway, I'll.
Well, that's kind of handy. Like if I decide that I really like this and I want to keep playing with it. Speaking of really liking this, I'm going to plug Dave Nicolette real fast. I'm going to be mobbing with Dave Nicolette from Neopragma tomorrow night, and he's going to teach me more about Kotlin because, why not learn from somebody who knows what they're doing? So between Smitty and Nicolette, they're going to fix my brain on this.
Maybe Dave can jump on at the end of this and say hello to everyone.
Yeah, I see him over in the Slack channel. So
hopefully I can convert you, Rich.
Yeah. Hey, man. Why not add another language to the list, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are quite the polyglot. So
it's almost an addiction. All right, cool. So let's start simple, right? So we've got our little plumbing test. We just ran it. It passed. Yay. The plumbing works. So borrowing from Mr. Grunning Zombies, and we had this whole debate a couple of weeks ago about what is zero or no input. So for Fizz Buzz, there isn't really one, right? You've got to start with a number. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this test given zero. Sorry, Python habits. Given zero, return zero. For lack of a better choice, right? And I'm going to assert that Fizz Buzz of 0. Let's see. And what did we end up using? Ham crust matchers? Okay.
Yeah, I think you have both. We're using Jupyter, right, for Jane?
Yeah. Ham crust and Jupyter. So we've got the latest version of JUnit and ham crust matchers, which I think I just nuked the import on. But that's all right. Import static method assert that. From ham crust, please. Import is from ham crust also. Oops. That one picked up the Sun NIOCS surrogate, which is not the one we want.
That's the first one I would pick.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't, right?
Matchers, is it matcher? Matcher is.
Well, see, now this is where my polyglotness gets in my way.
Is it matchers, plural?
Oh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. It's matchers. Good job. Thanks, Mitty. Right. So for the moment, I am just going to insert a static method up here called Fizz Buzz. And then once I get a little skeleton going, I'll move it over into production land. Fair? So static string Fizz Buzz int number. I'm just trying to get compilable at this point. Return hello world, and you need double quotes because this is not JavaScript. I've been coding in JavaScript all day long today.
That's good.
Which is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, let's run that. That should fail and say hello world is not 0. And I'm immediately going to notice this should be a string because statically typed and stuff. So I'll run it again. It's going to fail because it's still not the string 0. And I was having this conversation the other night with some other folks about actually looking at the error message, right? So you can see the error message expected 0, but was hello world. So I'm going to do the simplest thing that could possibly make my test pass. My test passes, and I'm going to pass the ball to Mike and let him show me how he would do the first step in Kotlin.
Okay, so we're going to do given a 0, return 0. So the kind of cool thing about Kotlin is if I don't have anything, I can call this just like a to-do. And if I run it, I should get something like, this is not implemented, right? This is a not implemented error. Whether you think it's cool or not, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
Can you walk me through the syntax here? What is fun? I mean, testing is fun, but what does fun mean?
So Kotlin is fun. So the thing about a Kotlin class is all classes are public by default, so you don't have to declare them public. They're all final as well by default. If you want to extend the class, you have to say, I think it's open. You have to call it open, but they're all, like
public and final by default.
Public and final by default. I think that's part of the solid design, right? Is the close for extension open? The close for extension open modification.
Open close principle, yeah.
Yes.
Open for extension, close to modification.
There is a default constructor here, whether it's implied or not, but that you don't have to say, like in Java, public Fizz Buzz test.
Right.
Test class, right? You don't have to do that for a constructor. So the constructor is right here in the class declaration, and you can pass things to it, right? So the other thing about Kotlin too is Kotlin doesn't have the concept of fields, but has the concept of properties. So properties are things like val. So you can declare them. You can give them the visibility they want. So it has something called val as a property, which means once this is a read-only property. Once this property is set, it can't be modified any further.
Okay.
It also has something called var, which means it is just like it has a getter and a setter. It is readable and writable both. And val and we could call it something, and then you separate by a colon. You tell it what type it is. So if it's a string, right, you give it a type, and you can say something like, something.
All right.
And
So
the implied getter for Kotlin.
Let me review that I've got this. Okay. So private val says basically give me a read-only private member. So private and final. Is this a class member or an instance member?
This is an instance member. So once you create an instance of Fizz Buzz test Kotlin, and this property's been set, you're basically done. You can't change it once you have an instance of.
So yeah, so it's like a combination of C# properties and TypeScript syntax, and it's private and final, but not static.
Yep.
Cool.
Yes, it's not static.
It's not static. Okay, so what do we do with that? We've got that. That was cool. Let's get a test that works.
Okay, so let's go.
Well, you still haven't told me what fun means, but I'm going to guess function.
Yeah. So everything in Kotlin is a function, right? And it's public, right? And you can actually, for tests, this is kind of cool. You can make this a spec-like thing, right?
Yeah.
With the backticks, that means I can write kind of like spec type, or was it Spock is one of the test frameworks, right? So given 0, return 0, something like that.
Yeah.
Or right. And again, this is the where the function declaration is. I can pass your normal parameters just like you would in Java to it here. In this case, this is by default, it's, I believe, the return type void, and there's no void return type in Kotlin. It's called unit.
It's called the type. The type is unit, so that doesn't mean unit test. That means something else.
No, it means something else. And I don't, for the life of me, remember what it is. And then it'll say, this is just redundant. This is already implied that it's a unit type. Unit is the return type for effectively void type of methods or functions.
Okay.
I hate to use the word function because you can call it function here, but you can actually, the way you implement it could be just like a Java method, right? Where you're mutating the inputs, that kind of thing. You're kind of doing a lot of the no-nos in functional programming.
Right.
But that's the Kotlin syntax. So what was it again? It was...
well, you could do whatever you want to do, man. Like, you don't have to try to match me. I just said, hey, if I give my Fizz Buzz function a 0, I expect to get back the string 0.
Okay. And I'm using Hamcraft matchers. I mean, search A matchers, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're using a search A.
I'll just create a function here.
All right. So I noticed the int has a capital I.
Yes.
So
that's the one thing. There are no primitives in Kotlin. Everything is an object.
Thank goodness.
It's
one of my biggest irritations with Java from day one is the fact that there are primitives. That it didn't start out on day one with auto-boxed objects.
Yep.
You know, My second one being that public static final main crap. But
Yep.
anyway,
So,
so
I
then
can-
I guess we need to import assertions. Is that what the underline's for?
yes. So we will statically import that, and then I'll just. Some people like that. Some people don't. And then this any is effectively the equivalent of object in Java,
Okay.
right? It's the root class, and as our little pop-up says, the root class hierarchy. Every class has an any as a superclass, so it's effectively the same as. In my case, I want what, string?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. And return 0, right? And then I'm going to run this.
All right. So I haven't seen a single semicolon.
Yep. Semicolons are redundant and unnecessary in Kotlin.
Huh. Famous last words. Okay.
Yeah. Just like JavaScript. I don't know. I think the Kotlin compiler will complain though if it has trouble with something.
Mm-hmm.
If you put something on the same line, like right, and it doesn't know what to do with it, the Kotlin compiler will just basically croak on you. The other thing about the Kotlin too is something that is possibly nullable that could be returned is defined as this, right?
Okay.
So
that could be string or null.
String or null.
And I could pass null.
Yes. And now I should get a that's interesting. Okay. So if I try to dereference something off of Fizz Buzz,
yeah,
right? The string dot to lowercase or something like that. I should get a compiler error from the Kotlin compiler.
right.
Kotlin says this is not safe. You could throw a null pointer exception.
Or you could put that question mark in there, and then you too can have Elvis notation.
That's right.
Interesting. So I'm only recently becoming comfortable with Elvis notation. Like I've been so frustrated by it for so many years, feeling like, look, I'm violating the law of Demeter, and I know it so much that I've got this special notation to help me handle the fact that I broke the rules.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm like, you need some null object pattern, my friend.
Yes. So I think for me, the rule of thumb is try to avoid null as much as possible.
Sure.
I don't like anything that could be possibly null, but the thing is when you're going from Java to Kotlin, sometimes you can't really get around it because you may be having Kotlin classes being called by Java tests or vice versa, right? So you kind of have to, when everything's converted over to Kotlin, then I can probably say it's probably safe to when you're doing this, you might want to think twice about it.
Gotcha.
Right. The other thing you can do is, so what will happen is if Fizz Buzz returns null on number 0, if it is null, it will not dereference that. It will not call it to lowercase, I believe.
Okay. So can we try it? Can you change line 15 to return a null for us?
Sure.
I just want to see what it does. And then I'm going to ask you if there's a null coalescing operator, like double question mark in JavaScript. Run that bad boy. Let's see what happens. Oh, your build failed. Your build is no good.
So it's
Expecting null to be equal to 0. Okay. But it did so politely. It didn't barf on the two lowercase. It just simply said, this is null.
Yes, it did not. It did not throw that threaded null pointer exception, and that's what the compiler tries to protect you from.
I remember back in '96 or whenever it was, with the hype of there are no pointers in Java, so you can't have pointer problems, and then of course they introduce right off the bat null pointer exception, my favorite. So at least you get a polite message. If I were to, so in JavaScript I could do this.
Yes.
Except I'd probably use double quotes and not single quotes and stuff. But can I do? Can I do that?
question mark colon, you can do that.
Question mark colon.
Yes.
So that's the null coalescing operator?
I
Basically, it says if I got a null to the
Yeah.
left, then I'm going to do the thing to the right.
It'll still stop right here though, because it's already hit something null and it won't go any further. It should still be null equals.
Oh, gotcha.
0.
I got some feedback. If you guys are, I don't know if you have Slack up. Dave Nicolette made a point. Would you like me to read it out loud?
Sure.
Yeah.
Dave Nicolette says, it's never safe, in his own words, it's never safe to assume you won't see null references as long as your application uses any Java packages.
Right.
This bit someone I know in production just last week.
Yep.
It's safe.
And that's what I think I kind of said, right, was if you're using Java and Kotlin together, you really can't, you kind of have to think about nulls, right?
Yeah.
If
No, that's fair.
Kotlin,
Cool.
then you could probably be a little bit more strict. Yeah, this I believe is, this was to say is if it's null, you could use the
Return
else
one.
operator to say return my default thing instead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yep. Just making sure the Slack people are there.
The Slack people are happy.
Yeah, that's right. You can't have a mad Slack.
Now, what you can do is, if you want to be smarter than Kotlin, if you think you're smarter than the Kotlin compiler, return null on line 14. And then up on line 10, after Fizz Buzz number dot to lowercase, something like that, right? Right now you see that Kotlin compiler error. You can actually say, I'm smarter than you, and put 2 double bangs. Put it 1 double bang in, I'm sorry. Yep. So now you're saying, I know Fizz Buzz, whatever I pass to it, is not going to be null ever, and you should get the dreaded null pointer exception.
Wow.
Yes.
Kotlin null pointer exception.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's why it's kind of dangerous to use this. I've had people do it, and I kind of cringe because I'm like, you're kind of you're really trying to defeat the purpose of Kotlin. What's that?
Yeah, you're kind of being a jerk and like just forgetting about all the power that we have at our disposal.
Right.
Yeah. So in learning all the languages that I've learned so far, right, one of the things that it was a hard one lesson was if a language has a thing, despite what you might think about it from the perspective of another language, go ahead and use the thing because it's there for a reason.
Yes.
Right.
It's
so like
kind of,
Ruby and Python have things that Java doesn't.
Yep.
That, like, I always forget in practically every other language, functions can be first-class objects without any class path trickery, and so I forget to use functions as first-class objects. I know that you can. It's just it doesn't occur to me because too many years of Java.
Yes. Hard.
And I think static import was a cheap, absolutely a cheap thrill on the part of the JVM team. Like, if you're going to do it, guys, do it right. But, you know, they are useful because I can do stuff like given 1, return 1. See if I can force myself to have a little bit of behavior, right? This is not C, Rich. Get that off that line. The curly brace wars begin. Oh, the lag is awesome, man.
Really?
Oh, I can feel it.
I mean, it looks pretty snappy here, but yeah. Where's
yeah.
the
All right, so now that's going to fail because it's only going to return 0. Oh, I think I just ran your test, though. I want to run my test.
Probably.
I'll go back up here. I like to run them all.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So scrolling. Expected 1, but was 0. Fair enough. All right. Now I'm gonna channel my inner if number equals 1. I'm doing this on purpose. Return 1, else return 0, until I see a pattern emerge, right? So I'm purposefully being very dumbest thing that could possibly work. Okay, I'm passing.
Okay.
Your turn, buddy.
All right. The other thing I can do too is if I don't want this to be an anonymous function, is I can actually make this part of an object function. Like if you want to do static type stuff. Is it class? Oh yeah, you can't do that. I have to do that in a different file. Okay. Probably.
So does Kotlin suffer from the same? You must only have one public thing per file.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Unless I'm wrong, I don't quite. Is it an inner class maybe?
Class blarg.
Can I do that? I can't do that. There's such a thing as a companion object.
What's a companion object? Is it like a partial?
Yeah. That's like an internal static class. And I could call it Fizz Buzz. The cool thing about this is there's only one Fizz Buzz anywhere in the JVM. So now I usually put these out in different files. So if I have like a static function, these functions can actually go into a file, not a class. Doesn't have to belong to a part of the class.
Okay.
But they would be kind of like globally namespaced almost, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I could make these part of a companion object class. So now I can reference them by basically saying fizzbuzz dot fizzbuzz, I believe. It's not. I thought. Let me do this. I don't have fizzbuzz. Let me go here. Okay. Let me create a new class. So I can create a Kotlin file, and it's not really a class. It's just a file. It could have functions in it, right?
Right. Free floating functions.
Object.
So what is this object thing? Because in my head, object means instance of class.
Yes. And it's one and only one instance of it. So I don't have to ever create an instance of FizzBuzz ever. It's just there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So this is sort of like global namespace singleton-y. I got all the functions in me.
And now these belong to basically the namespace
FizzBuzz.
So I could have 5 different FizzBuzz functions, but if they're under different objects, it could all be referenced differently. So
I have to think about that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That one gives me the willies, but maybe I just need to get comfortable with it. All right. So
now you have a new test. Is that right?
A new test given 1. I want 1.
Is it 1? So how about this? You can also make this just return expression body instead of having a return in it. I can say this function is equal to whatever it is the result of this expression.
All right. Run them.
I like that.
That's pretty sweet.
And that's pretty sweet.
You're not wasting a whole crap ton of curly braces and stuff.
Nope.
Really handy for all those many situations where there's just like, hey, this is like ridiculously short. Why am I typing all that boilerplate junk?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let's get freaky here. For those of you who don't know me, I don't believe in parameterized tests. I hate them. So I'm not going to do that.
So is Mr. Nicolette, have I made any Kotlin faux pas yet, or so far so good?
So I was
How the hell's
chatting with Mr. Nicolette, and he stepped away for dinner. But he is actually going to do a in-depth dive in Kotlin tomorrow, and we will tweet that out later tonight.
Yeah. So I'd like to do some in-depth Kotlin sometime too.
Yeah, well, like he told me about it last week when we were having some of this Kotlin conversation. So I'm like, all right, let's jump on that because, you know, if I'm quarantined, honestly, I might as well try to learn another language just for fun.
Here, I haven't looked back. I don't think I want to do another line of Java again.
All right, so expected to, but I got me some 0 because reasons. So I feel like I've been typing a lot compared to you. But I'm going to do a refactor step after this passes, right? Yay, look, it passed. And I can verify that for reals it's me by changing that to a 3. You guys didn't know that I could wrap code, did you? That's a joke. You guys are, I can't hear the audience.
Like RAP or WRAP?
RAP.
Okay.
All right. So this is kind of, obvious and dull. But I don't know that I want to change it because it's moist enough, right? It's not so dry that I can't tell what's going on, but it's also not overly repetitive. But this is, awful. So let's see, I've got a primitive int, which will autobox to an integer proper, but is it string parse int number with a T? No, it's not.
Integer toString.
It might be integer toString is what I'm thinking of.
Capital.
You get enough languages.
Yeah, it triggers me. But yes.
You get enough languages in your head and you cannot keep stuff straight anymore.
Right.
I must have looked this up a half dozen times for JavaScript in the past 2 weeks because I keep the ECMA 6 shortcuts for stringification, blah, blah, blah. All righty. So I got 3 tests and 3 tests that pass, and I'll hand it back to you.
So I think I'm doing.
You're already where I'm at. So you got there one test sooner than me.
Yeah. So am I pretty much doing what you're doing?
You are. So let's see what happens when you try 3, which should give you a fizzer.
All right. So 2 is kind of pointless.
Yes, I was very explicit and purposeful in the I want to see a pattern before I do a thing, and then I probably still took too big of a step, but that's okay.
Are we gonna do capital F fizz or lowercase fizz?
Let's do capital F fizz.
Fizzer, okay.
Run.
And hopefully I got fizz, not 3, 3 not fizz, I mean. And yes.
Expecting 3 to be equal to fizz.
Right. So over here, Kotlin has this kind of cool thing. It's kind of a fancy way of switching. You could say return when number. say 3, else maybe this. What did I do? Oh, do I even need this? What did I do? What did I do? Okay, I got. Oh, Fizz Buzz.
You have the appropriate number of curlies.
I think it's just return when. So return. I think I need this. What the hell?
Inferred type is a function type.
Yes, I would set an expression body, and it's not an expression body; it's a function.
But you've lost a curly brace off your object.
I lost one, right? Are we good now?
I think you're good now. Let's see what happens. Sweet. Okily dokily, my turn. So I'm only just now getting to finding out about things named Fizz. Test. Public void given 3 return Fizz. Assert that Fizz Buzz 3 is. We agreed we're using capital F, right?
Yes.
And when I run them all, it's going to fail because 3 is not Fizz. Double check that my error is what I think my error is. Expected Fizz, but was 3. So now I can look at my static Fizz Buzz method and say, what do I want to do about you? So the simplest thing that I could possibly do is say, if number is equal to 3, return, I have to be able to spell correctly, but okay, so that should get me passing. And indeed, I am passing. So now I'm behind by 1, but that's okay. I will let you proceed with the next test.
What do we think the next test should be?
Well, the next interesting thing, probably for both of us, is 5, because we know that 4 is going to work. But if we want to be very careful about boundaries, you could check 4, but that might be, you might be overdoing it.
Yeah, I think I kind of have it covered, right? But I could do it. Some copy pasta here. If you wanted to fill in, if you want to even do 2, make sure I have no gaps or.
So I got to starting with 0 because I was doing the zombies thing. Right? So 0, 1, many. Except there's never going to be a many.
I think I got this. I think I got this covered. Should probably do buzz, right?
Yeah, ultimately we need to get the buzz, but
okay. So we want 4. What? Oh,
4 becomes 4.
4.
You have to change line 23, but yeah.
Sorry.
So when you run that, that's going to pass. We're smart enough to know that already. But it's okay to play a little dumb, right? Sure. And then we go to 5 buzz.
right? And that should fail. All right, 5 should not be expecting 5 to be Buzz, so you should be able to do something pretty handy here. Right. And hopefully get back to green.
Sweet. All right. So jumping back over to the Java side. Since you did 4, I'll do 4.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we've got them all. I don't know how many developers I've yelled at for doing what I just did, but that's okay.
Yes. You'll get smacked down from Bob Martin. Right. But it's okay.
Well, I mean, these tests are obviously very short, and I fully trust myself to be able to actually change it so that everything matches correctly. But one of my, I'll call it a pet peeve, one of the things that drives me nuts is when developers copy a test, paste the test, and then they don't change the variables or change the names right. And then you read the name and it says given 4, return 4, but Fizz Buzz 3, 4, you know.
Yeah, like I did. Hey, it works. I understand why our code doesn't work. We clicked it.
Yeah. So public void. I'm already getting tired of typing.
I think I have a Kotlin convert in the making.
You know, I might be an easy mark. Fizz Buzz 5 is Buzz. This one's going to fail because there is no Buzz. And now I'm going to do this. And if number equals 5, return Buzz. Ooh, I'm starting to see a pattern. Got him. Yay, I'm passing. All right, now's where it gets exciting. 6. You get to do the test for 6.
Quick question while we're in the middle of the test.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to rush you, not that I'm trying to slow you down. I'm just trying to give an expectation to the viewers that are watching. How long do you think you're going to go tonight?
I would say another 15 or 20 minutes total, probably. And then we can go do some lean coffee in the Slack channel.
Oh my goodness, Rich! It's like I set you up for that one. So
and you didn't even have to text me to ask that question.
No,
like you did with the other question 5 minutes ago that I ignored because I'm talking to Smitty.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to interrupt you. This is really good. I enjoy it. I'm learning. I might like Kotlin, Smitty.
Oh,
but you know, but F Sharp's better.
Whatever. All right, so you're on to 6, and it's a failure.
So, yep, it is a failure because I think it's 6 is returning Fizz. So, I think 6 is really just a even multiple of 3, right?
Yeah, should be. Usually is. Oh, that's sexy, baby.
What?
If you can actually do that, that's sexy.
I think I have to lift out the number though. Because I have incompatible types here.
Now I feel like you're taking a gigantic step, but I'm being a meanie.
Oh, okay.
All right, wait. So if you go back to number equal 3 Fizz, everybody's going to be happy till you get to 6, right?
Yeah. Not equal 0. Okay. So Fizz is not 0 because, well, okay, so I got that. So So this is kind of weird. Okay. I never expected 0. I guess that should be just number to string, right?
Okay. So that takes your else clause and puts it first.
Yeah.
But isn't that when number is equal to 0? Wouldn't you end up having to do this for all? So I don't know. I don't know enough about the return when, and the notion of being able to be dynamic on the left side of the skinny rocket is new to me in my thinking.
Yeah.
I have my Java brain on right now. My Java brain says you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. So right now, before it was when number, that means the left side is an int, has to be an int, right?
Right.
When it's a number, do this. When it's a number, do that. Now I've introduced it's a Boolean.
Yeah.
This mod 3 is equal 0 is a Boolean. So now everything to the left of the arrows have to be some sort of Boolean, except for the else number. So
this should work in my head. This should work for 0, things modulo 3 equals 0, and 5, and also every other doggone number. So why did you have to put line 4 in there at all?
well, apparently number mod 0 mod 3 is still 0.
Yeah, that would be true.
Yeah. Or I can have
Yes.
that's ugly, right?
Yeah. Composite expression scary.
Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of okay right now.
Well, you're passing.
Yeah, I'm passing. Except I don't really like this and that.
Feels redundant.
Yeah.
But it's the nature of numbers, right? They're annoying.
Yeah.
All right. So let me catch up then. I'll get my am I in the right place?
Yeah, I don't remember 0 being part of the Fizz Buzz thing.
But, off by 1 hairs, man.
Yeah.
I'll go to the previous line already. Again, because I just trust myself so much to remember to name stuff correctly. So I was once working with a group of relatively new to Python developers, and all their tests were named test 0. Drove me nuts because Python doesn't care when you do that. And it was because they were copy pasting stuff and like using wizards and all right. So give need an n. Given 6, return fizz. Assert that fizz buzz 6 is fizz. Run a roller Roman. Okay, I failed, and I know why I failed because we don't have a case for this yet. Okay, so here I can do this. So this is where I get into the conversation with people, and I know I'm sort of cheating because I've done Fizz Buzz enough times that it's silly. But I sometimes hold off on refactoring just for cases like this, right? If I had refactored already, I might be in a space where this didn't work, except that didn't work anyway.
Well, that's that 0 thing again, right? Just like I had.
Yeah, true.
So if a compound if, or you just return 1 0. Yeah, just kind of what I use.
I'm going to again do the simplest thing.
Yep.
Like yo, because you're right, it's the same stupid error.
Mm-hmm.
Darn you, 0. Okay. So now we're both up to 6. We both handle 3 and 6, and we both handle it well. So on to the next one.
10.
9 or 10? 9?
Well, 9 is,
Well, 9 is sort of obviously already done, so let's move on to 10.
yeah. Or if people don't believe us, we can do 9, but
I believe that modulo 3 is going to be 0.
yep. Okay, so given 10.
I think if I were being super rigorous, I might like poke at that a little harder, but only just to like ensure that I have hammered the words into your skull. Like that's another conversation we could have some other night or during Lean Coffee or something about like when is too much too much.
Yeah, I kind of get into that a bit with some people at work about how much do we really, how many search
Yeah.
people test, that kind of thing. And
I know people who would test every single digit from at least 1 to 15.
yeah.
And I think part of it. So I always like Kent Beck's advice, which is when do you stop writing unit tests is when you get bored, when you know, when you're confident that no matter what I throw at this, it's going to be right.
I'm not adding any new code to my
like all I'm doing is
production,
adding
right?
tests and I haven't changed anything. But
right.
How you get there is how you get there. If you type 200 words a minute, you could probably write 90 tests for this thing if you wanted to.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So now you got 10. Click. I will click again. I click at you, which rhymes with Pikachu. It's all this doggone boilerplate, man. That's one of the things that somebody told me early on was, one of the best things about Kotlin is that they got rid of the boilerplate. They got rid of all the extra nonsense, curly bracing and.
Yep.
10.
You don't have to say new and instantiating an object. I'm not sure if you're convinced on the object classes yet, but
I'm not sure I'm convinced, but maybe I just need to learn and understand more.
Yeah.
I think some of it's like hangover from the days of C and C++ and BASIC and places where there was global state. Because it always got in the way. I worked on a program when I was a student, highly optimized C code, about 50,000 lines of it in the core server side. And the most important variable in the entire system was named M. It was a 3-dimensional array, and it was global. Just terrifying. Okay, so I got 10 going. So let's think, what's the first factor of 3? First number whose factor is 3 and 5. Let's test that one.
possibly 15.
Yeah, and then I probably have some refactoring to do, and you might not.
Maybe. Do you want me to take it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, yeah, there's probably a fair amount of refactoring I can actually do, some in Kotlin, but
Yeah, well, we can always engage in the what about negative numbers debate, and because every pedantic jerk in the classroom likes to have that fight with me.
all right, so this is the only test that's yet to be implemented. I'm sure it's going to be Fizz.
I got me some fizz, but no buzz.
No fizz, and you get the fizz, but no buzz. So, I might get it passing first, right? This is kind of cheap, but how's that?
Except for the fact that 0 mod 15 is 0. think you need to reverse lines 4 and 5.
About that.
There you go. Yeah. Should pass.
And
It passed.
so they all pass. So maybe I can do this.
Hey, I think I noticed your tests are running faster than mine too.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Let's go. Wait, let's go back here. I know for most things it tells you how long. Okay, 50 milliseconds to run your test suite, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's a spin up time thing or I don't know.
Could be.
Haven't played with it, don't know. Oh, don't type when you can copy. Except for the part where I snap at people for doing this all the time. Feel like such a heel.
Two, as I say now, is it? Yes.
2 Z's, please. All right, and then I'm going to fail because I don't have a handler for Fizz Buzz yet. But I know that. But I'm disciplined and I run my test every time, even when I know what's going to happen. Expected Fizz Buzz, but was Fizz, right? So, in the same way that you did it for the moment. I don't remember who it was that said it. It's probably Kent back.
Mm-hmm.
You should never be surprised by the result.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if I always believe that because there have been some times where I have been doing stuff where I was, in fact, a little bit surprised when I got not that I got the error, but what the error was. So I don't know how literally I take that statement because sometimes it's like, well, I knew I was going to get the wrong answer, but I didn't realize how wrong. Okay, so mine took 23 millis to run, so maybe it's running faster than I thought, but it just felt the last time you ran it, I'm like, why was yours so fast?
Snappy fast, huh? Yeah, mine was a little bit slower.
I blame Groovy. No, I'm just kidding. All right, cool. So now I think we're both at the place where there's nothing more to test, right? Once you get to 15, so it's all rock and roll after that. So what do you want to do? You got any refactors you want to do? I mean, mine is, I would definitely clean this up. That is just, ugh. Having said that it's the ugh, I would also say it's the ugh, but anybody can understand it.
Yeah. At least on the Kotlin side, maybe if number equals 0, return 0 and then else. Can I do this? I haven't.
Else when? That's interesting. Is that formatted sanely? What happens if you hit auto format on that turkey?
And there you go. And I think it's going to say, nice thing about IntelliJ 2 is it knows enough about Kotlin to say just lift the return out of.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
Like that.
So run it. Let's see if it still works.
Okay. Maybe just that. Maybe. Okay. What are my tests? My test is this is Fizz Buzz test Kotlin. We're still good.
Sweet. All right. So let me take a crack at fixing up my code here.
I can remove this. I can remove line 5, right?
Yes, you can now remove line 5.
I think I'm still good. Yeah. So without going purely functional, I guess I could go this, or I could even go this far, and I could just say convert this to an expression body. If you like that kind of thing, but
yeah, I mean, it's pleasing to the eye for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to scooch over a little bit because my code is all big and hanging out over the edges. So one thing that I've seen people do, having a little hotkey ninja problem here. Oh, come on. You just don't want to comment that out, do you?
Okay.
So I know that I'm imparting or adding to my pain by doing this in terms of performance. And, you know, we just had a big debate the other day about the use of plus equals versus something equals itself plus something. I would actually probably go full whole hog awful Java string builder here.
Yep.
If I can make this work. So I want something like
the string builder. Okay.
If I can't type. Is blank. Question mark. I will anger the formatter for a moment. Probably one too many semis. Which still isn't pretty enough for me, but let's make sure it works first. Okay, so it still works. That's good. And then I could even do result equal. Can't spell still. Still nowhere near as pretty as the Kotlin code. And I broke it. Because I forgot about this part. So, you know, my cyclomatic complexity is still painfully high. It's probably actually the equivalent of yours, but it's dreadful. So
you could do something like that, I think, in Kotlin as well, with not hard coding like Fizz Buzz on line 4. It could probably append a result.
Well, we could do
yeah.
We would need typing lessons to get this to work, though. So do one of these deals where we do
dot append.
Which actually probably has to be a string, because I think I'm not sure what that would do. Yeah, think about that.
But you're going to be appending 0 and Fizz for 0, right?
Well, yeah, my friends at no, because I'll never get here because this else clause right here.
Oh, gotcha. Yep, good.
So a long time ago, the JVM had terrible problems with concatenation of strings using the plus operator being terribly inefficient.
Yes.
And there was this whole thou shalt always use the string buffer. Or the string
right, the compiler will compile all that out.
And they claim that they fixed it, but I don't actually know what version of Java we're presently using.
We're using 11 on this one, I think.
Now, see, this is the awful part. The dreadful part is now I have to do that thing. Although I guess I could do, at this point, size? No, length. I think this works. So if that's 0 length, then do the thing. Otherwise, do the other thing. And happy trails.
Nice.
And then I can even do this. I got some weird pop-up there. That was strange. This doesn't matter, because that'll get replaced. Just to prove to myself that I'm not wrong. Oh, I'm wrong, son of a bitch. Oh, I know why. No, that doesn't make any sense. Wait a second.
You're all right.
I set result to, this doesn't matter. This guy said if it's 0 length, yeah.
You'll have something in there, right?
Well, at this point,
it's just hard return from there, right? Yeah.
And get there like that. I don't know, man. I probably should have practiced this. I would look less like a bumbling fool. Hey, look, it works. So the only other thing that's insulting about this is the fact that I used a ternary, which I was inspired by your functional gadgetry. Ternary, the crutch of the not really functional programming language. All right, cool. That was fun, man.
Yeah.
So like I said, our buddy Dave Nicolette from Neopragma is doing a mob session tomorrow. You can find him at, I believe it's neopragma.com.
Okay.
Dave is in the Slack channel right now. Sign up for some of his free classes. Smart dude, teaches cool stuff, and he's going to show me about Kotlin tomorrow in more detail, I suspect. This was really instructive for me. Like, I really kind of dig your Fizz Buzz function. Oh, one thing I never did was extract my static method out of my test class. Shame on me. But that's all right. I think everybody knows how that works, right?
Yes.
Right click factor move. Go.
This
was fun though, man.
Went kind of functional on this on a branch. If you're interested in that.
Sure.
Yeah, so I created these strategies here, and then using a concept called a pair, which is just effectively like a single entry object in a map, right? Map has a map.entry, an entry inner class on it.
Okay.
But pair is just simple a key value store. And you could create these. This is kind of interesting. I call this my Fizz predicate, and it's a val, so it's actually like a variable that can be passed to different functions, etc. Just like it's a first class variable, effectively.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a cool syntax. This means that this Fizz predicate takes as an input a pair of type int to string, and it returns a Boolean. And that's all it is. That's the declaration of it. And the
thing that gets executed is that
yeah.
closure-y looking thing on the right-hand side.
IT is the actual thing being passed to it. So in this case, it's a pair. So I could just call it the pair.
Okay, so by default, it's called IT, but
yes.
You can name it if you want to.
You can name it anything you want, but yeah, IT is the default. And there's basically two properties on a pair. It's a pair dot first, pair dot second. That's all it is. Just give me the key, give me the value. Pair dot first is the key, pair dot second is the value.
Okay.
That's all it is. And so here's my Fizz predicate. Similar, here's my Buzz predicate. Here's my Fizz Buzz predicate. So I can kind of take these two guys and put them together like Lego blocks, right? It's a Fizz predicate or a Buzz predicate.
But wouldn't you want and?
Wouldn't it be one or is it both? Oh, I guess and.
No, to get Fizz Buzz, you want or to and them, right? It's both. Both are true.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Huh, all my tests run too. It's interesting.
Now we're getting curious. That predicate thing's pretty cool, though.
Fizz Buzz strategy test. No, that fails. And that fails. So no, it is an or.
So it's an or?
Yes. Yeah, so I think the way I have it could be, I could look at this. I don't remember. Both have to be true, right? Shouldn't that is right? It should be both.
It should be both in order to be Fizz Buzz,
Yeah.
yes. So the part where there's an or there is confusing to me, but it's I'm sure because I don't understand something.
Yeah, I have to look at that again. The other cool thing is in this Fizz strategy, there's a thing called take unless.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, take unless on the thing you're passing in says if I believe it's if this is false, return the thing that you passed in. Otherwise, it's null. So if it's null, then I'm actually returning this. If that makes sense, right?
So if Fizz predicate is false, then you're going to return
the thing you passed to it.
The thing you passed to it.
Otherwise, if it's true, you're going to pass Fizz and whatever this thing is that you passed in as well. If it's an empty string, fine. If it was, then yeah. And the same thing with this. This is take if. The identity strategy is the one that's like for the non-Fizz or Buzz numbers.
Gotcha.
So take if is if this is true, return null. And in this case, if it is null, then you're going to pass basically back the pair plus the input plus the input of the int to string. Essentially, It's like one integer number one and string number one. So that's.
So I noticed on that last one you named the input as opposed to leaving it with it.
Yes, I could probably do that as well.
I'm just curious if there was a motivation or if that's just the way it happened.
It was just me not paying attention.
Second or third glass of wine and it just happened.
Yes, I should be smart. I think it was like, late at night or something. Let's do this right.
Joel's trying to interrupt us, but we're going to.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I just said there's a question in Twitch from Savid.
Yeah.
There's only 5 tests. So is there a test for 15?
Yes, there is.
I might have missed that.
On the other one or on?
Kotlin has 5 tests.
It's hard to tell. There's probably a 10. People are telling me there's anywhere between a 5 and 45 second delay. Because of bandwidth.
It's pretty severe.
So well, join the Lean Coffee. We'll in this set. So he's saying in this set.
We pass this observation.
Yep. Cool.
Push this.
Yeah.
This is on my branch.
I'm happy to go as long as you want to go. I know.
Hey, you know what we should do is either on Twitch or Slack or both, we should share the URL for where you've pushed this, Smitty.
Okay.
So that people who have questions like how many tests are there can go look. So we tested for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, and 15. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15. So I have 6 tests. Oh, we had 0 in there too, right?
Yeah,
so
0, 1.
You never tested for 2.
Okay, well,
that's the difference, I think.
We get that for free, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, you do. It's okay.
Yep. So do you want me to just push this to?
Yeah, push it to GitHub. People might want to.
Okay.
People who've been watching are probably like, "Hey, too much screen kung fu."
Actually, I'm hearing really good feedback from this format. They can follow it. They're learning. This format could become a thing.
Cool. Well, I mean, I learned something, and Smitty, thanks so much for your time because you know, I didn't know beans about kata, not to pun too hard. I didn't know beans about Kotlin before, and now I know a little bit about it. Do you know why it's called Kotlin by the way? Like,
is it an island and? Is it like an island and near Java or something?
Yeah, it's Java's an island, and Kotlin's an island. That's what Dave Nicolette told me.
Ah, okay.
And I trust Dave Nicolette.
Oh, you didn't actually create a test, did you? Class.
Yeah. No, I never did. You know, it's funny that it's about islands because last night, somehow completely tangentially, Amelia Earhart came up. So then it was, what island was she heading for? Oh, that's part of the Phoenix Islands. Hey, did you know that there is a time zone called Anywhere on Earth that is always 12 hours behind or ahead of UTC?
Really?
I learned this last night. I'm like, more time zone junk that I didn't really want to know.
That's why we were going to start a coding dating site for coders, but dates are hard.
Dates are hard.
Is there anything else you guys want to cover? I'm not cutting you off. I'm not playing.
No. I think we've probably flogged the horse pretty good there. We've been at it for close to 90 minutes. So let's get to some lean coffee and
yeah. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is I want to take the lean coffee off of Twitch, right? Because we can have a little more honest conversations. But if you want to join the lean coffee, join our Slack. Join our Slack's the easiest way. I just don't like to share our Zoom link out on the internet right now. And we will see you on the other side. Our next meetup, we don't know when that's going to be. That's going to be based upon the feedback from you. So shoot us some feedback. When do you want it? What do you want to learn? And finally, Mike, Rich, thank you so much.
Hey,
Mike, good luck on your island there, by the way.
Hey, man, if I can get regex to work correctly on my Android project, maybe I can do something with function tables and regex. That'd be fun, right?
As long as it's about code, and I mean, the real thing is we're here to help Detroit be better at development. Even though, Rich, you don't live in Detroit, we'll send you a tax bill.
All right, man.
Where's the link copy at? Or is it?
It's going to be right here.
Oh, it's here?
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click this button that says Stop Stream.
What's weird is my I'm not.
See you later, Twitch.
I can't push. Huh?
So
you can't push.